Clive Staples Lewis, better known as C.S. Lewis, was born into a book-filled home in Belfast, Ireland, on November 29, 1898. He passed away on a historically significant day, November 22, 1963, coinciding with the assassination of President John F. Kennedy. Lewis grew up with his older brother Warren, with whom he shared a lifelong friendship. From an early age, Lewis was surrounded by literature, with books stacked in nearly every room of his house. This environment fueled his vivid imagination, leading him to spend his childhood days immersed in reading and creating fantastical stories. These early experiences of conjuring up worlds inhabited by dressed animals and knights in armor notably influenced his first novel, Boxen, which he penned at the tender age of 12. This foundation in storytelling and love for the imaginative would later define his celebrated works in literature. The early death of C.S. Lewis's mother when he was just 9 years old marked a profound turning point in his life. In his autobiography, Surprised by Joy, Lewis poignantly reflects on the profound impact of her passing, stating, "With my mother's death, all settled happiness disappeared from my life. There was to be much fun, many pleasures, many stabs of joy, but no more of the old security. It was sea and islands now. The great continent had sunk like Atlantis. This event not only robbed him of his mother, but also, effectively, his father." In a state of grief, Albert Lewis distanced himself from his sons, deciding to send them to boarding school. This decision, as Warren Lewis lamented, was catastrophically misguided, entrusting them to a school run by a headmaster who was later declared insane. Warren bitterly remarked on their father's choice, indicating it as an example of his uncanny flair for making the wrong decision. This traumatic period in Lewis's childhood, characterized by loss and the unsettling experience at the boarding school, would deeply influence his personal and literary development. During his challenging childhood, C.S. Lewis endeavored to engage deeply with his religious beliefs, a journey marked by diligence but also internal conflict. He practiced nightly prayers, a ritual that became a source of distress rather than solace due to his introspective scrutiny. Lewis was haunted by a false conscience, a term he used to describe his obsessive concern over the sincerity of his prayers. He was taught that merely reciting prayers was insufficient. One must also contemplate their meaning. This led to a cycle of repetition, as he would question the authenticity of his focus during prayer, often concluding that he hadn't been fully present in thought. As a result, he would pray again, hoping to correct this perceived oversight, but to no avail. This practice spiraled into a cause of insomnia and intense nightly agony. Lewis himself reflected on this period, noting that continuing down this path might have driven him to madness. This experience underscores the complexity of Lewis's early spiritual life, revealing a profound struggle with faith and the pressures of religious conformity. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit that like button. It really helps us keep bringing quality content to you. At the age of 16, C.S. Lewis's educational journey took a pivotal turn when he was placed under the tutelage of W.T. Kirkpatrick, affectionately known as Kirk, or the Great Knock. Kirkpatrick, a formidable intellect and educator, profoundly influenced Lewis's analytical and expressive abilities. Their initial encounter vividly illustrates Kirk's rigorous pedagogical method. Upon Lewis's casual observation about the wildness of Surrey's landscape, Kirk challenged him to define wildness and justify his expectations, revealing Lewis's use of the term as vague and unfounded. This meticulous scrutiny of thought and language set the tone for Lewis's entire tutelage under Kirk, instilling in him a foundational discipline in thinking, writing, and speaking with precision and logic. Kirkpatrick's influence extended beyond mere academic instruction. He shaped Lewis's approach to critical thinking and expression, qualities that would become hallmarks of Lewis's literary and academic career. Lewis's time with Kirk not only honed his skills, but also imbued in him a profound respect and gratitude for his mentor. attributes that Lewis acknowledged throughout his life. The clarity and rigor Lewis developed under Kirkpatrick's guidance were evident in his meticulously crafted arguments for faith, his precise use of language, and his effective teaching style. Even after Kirkpatrick's death, his intellectual legacy continued to resonate with Lewis, influencing his writing as though Kirk's discerning eye were perennially overseeing his work. This mentorship was instrumental in developing Lewis's distinctive voice, one that would come to be revered in both literary and scholarly circles. C.S. Lewis's journey from atheism to a deeply held Christian faith was influenced by a constellation of experiences, pivotal among them being his encounter with George MacDonald's Phantasts. This moment marked a significant turning point for Lewis. Upon reading MacDonald's work, he experienced what he initially described as a bright shadow that later, upon reflection, he understood to be holiness. This encounter with MacDonald's literature introduced a transcendent quality to Lewis's life, sparking a profound transformation in his spiritual outlook. Lewis's metaphor of his imagination being baptized vividly captures the immediate impact of phantasts on his psyche, suggesting a spiritual awakening or initiation that was deeply personal and imaginative in nature. However, he candidly acknowledges that this initial transformation of his imagination was but the first step in a more extended process of conversion. The phrase, "the rest of me, not unnaturally, took longer," underscores the complexity and gradual nature of his journey to faith, highlighting the distinction between an instantaneous awakening of the imagination and the slower, more deliberate conversion of one's entire being. This moment of epiphany through literature underscores the significant role that art and imagination played in Lewis's spiritual development, serving as a conduit for encountering the divine and catalyzing his eventual embrace of Christian faith. Lewis's path to Christianity was not merely intellectual, but was deeply intertwined with the aesthetic and imaginative aspects of his being, illustrating the multifaceted nature of spiritual conversion. C.S. Lewis's shift from atheism to a robust Christian faith was also significantly influenced by his confrontation with and subsequent rejection of chronological snobbery, a concept he critically examined alongside his friend Owen Barfield. Chronological snobbery, as Lewis defined, is the predisposition to dismiss the thoughts, beliefs, and works of previous eras simply because they are older, favoring the contemporary intellectual climate without critical examination. This uncritical acceptance assumes that modern ideas are superior merely because they are current, neglecting the fact that each era, including the present, harbors its own set of misconceptions and limitations. Barfield challenged Lewis to scrutinize the reasons behind the obsolescence of certain ideas, questioning whether they were genuinely refuted, and if so, how and by whom. This line of questioning opened Lewis to the realization that every age has its characteristic illusions, which can be corrected only by engaging with the wisdom of the past. Lewis advocated for a balanced reading diet, suggesting that for every new book read, one should read an old one, to mitigate the risk of being trapped within the intellectual confines of the current age. Lewis posited that immersing oneself in the literature of past centuries serves as a remedy to chronological snobbery, likening it to allowing the clean sea breeze of the centuries to refresh our minds. This approach ensures a broader perspective, safeguarding against the myopia of contemporary biases and fostering a more nuanced understanding of truth. Lewis's advocacy for engaging with ancient texts was not merely an academic exercise, but a transformative practice that informed his spiritual journey and intellectual development, challenging the prevailing assumptions of his time and enriching his faith. C.S. Lewis's journey to faith was marked by a meticulous dismantling of his objections against Christianity, facilitated by both an awakening of his imagination and the satisfaction of his logical inquiries. His conversion experience was characterized by an intense internal struggle, vividly described as feeling the steady, unrelenting approach of him whom I so earnestly desired not to meet. This metaphor captures the profound sense of inevitability Lewis felt as he drew closer, to acknowledging the divine presence he had long resisted. His eventual submission to faith, described as the prayer of the most dejected and reluctant convert in all England, highlights the depth of his initial reluctance to embrace Christianity. Initially, Lewis's conversion led him to theism, the belief in the existence of a god or gods, specifically a creator who does not intervene in the universe. This was a significant, albeit intermediate, step in his spiritual journey, marking the beginning of his exploration into the nature of Christ and other religious philosophies. His progression from theism to Christianity was not accompanied by dramatic events or sudden revelations, but was instead a gradual realignment of belief. Lewis's final shift to Christianity occurred under remarkably ordinary circumstances, during a ride in the sidecar of a motorcycle on his way to the Whipsnade Zoo. He left his house not believing in Christ as the Son of God and arrived at his destination with that belief firmly in place. Lewis emphasizes the lack of external drama in this transformation, suggesting that profound spiritual change does not always stem from dramatic events, but can occur through quiet, internal shifts in understanding. This narrative underscores the personal and introspective nature of faith, a journey that, for Lewis, was as much about intellectual and imaginative engagement as it was about the soul's gradual surrender to the divine. C.S. Lewis's conversion to Christianity in 1931 significantly influenced his prolific writing career, already underway during his tenure at Magdalen College, Oxford. Within 2 years of his conversion, he published Pilgrim's Regress, 1933, his first apologetic work, marking the beginning of an extensive and diverse literary output that spanned over 3 decades. Lewis demonstrated remarkable versatility as an author, contributing to multiple genres with both depth and accessibility. His apologetic and philosophical writings, including Miracles, The Problem of Pain, The Abolition of Man, and Mere Christianity, offer rigorous, logical defenses of the Christian faith, blending intellectual rigor with profound spiritual insight. These works are characterized by Lewis's ability to distill complex theological concepts into clear, compelling arguments, making them accessible to a broad audience. In addition to his apologetic works, Lewis explored the Christian faith through imaginative literature. The Screwtape Letters and The Great Divorce use fictional narratives to delve into themes of temptation, virtue, and the afterlife, showcasing Lewis's talent for embedding theological reflections within engaging stories. Lewis's contribution to children's literature is perhaps most famously embodied in The Chronicles of Narnia, a series that has captured the imaginations of readers of all ages with its rich allegorical significance and captivating narratives. His space trilogy similarly combines science fiction with theological inquiry, exploring human nature, morality, and the cosmic struggle between good and evil. Beyond his writings on faith and fiction, Lewis also made significant contributions to the study of English literature. Works such as The Allegory of Love and English Literature in the 16th Century, excluding drama, reflect his scholarly rigor and are still esteemed for their insights into literary history and criticism. Lewis's poetry, though less well known than his other works, further demonstrates his versatility and depth as a writer, exploring themes of nature, love, and spirituality with lyrical precision. Throughout his career, Lewis's writings were unified by a commitment to exploring and articulating the truths of the Christian faith, whether through direct apologetic argument, allegorical storytelling, or scholarly analysis. His legacy endures not only in the breadth of his literary contributions, but in his ability to engage readers in a profound dialogue about faith, morality, and the human condition. C.S. Lewis's life was enriched by his engagement with a close-knit community of friends and intellectuals, most famously through his participation in the Inklings, a group of writers, scholars, and thinkers who shared a common interest in literature, faith, and the imaginative. The Inklings convened regularly from 1933 to 1963, initially gathering in Lewis's rooms at Oxford, and later at the Eagle and the Child pub, affectionately known as the Bird and Baby. This assembly included notable figures such as Lewis's brother Warren, J.R.R. Tolkien, Dr. R.E. Havard, and Charles Williams, among others like Neville Coghill, Hugo Dyson, Owen Barfield, and Adam Fox. The essence of these meetings lay in the sharing and critique of works in progress, fostering an environment of creative feedback that was both rigorous and supportive. Members of the group would present drafts of their ongoing projects, which ranged from Tolkien's early renditions of The Lord of the Rings to Lewis's drafts of The Great Divorce and Warren Lewis's historical works. This practice of reading and critique was central to the group's purpose, offering a space where ideas could be challenged and refined in a spirit of camaraderie. The Inklings' gatherings were characterized by their intellectual rigor, spirited debate, and mutual respect, all infused with a sense of humor and laughter. The feedback and discussions were straightforward and uninhibited, reflecting the group's commitment to honesty and improvement in their creative endeavors. This unique blend of critique and camaraderie contributed significantly to the development of some of the 20th century's most influential literary works. Beyond the literary contributions, the Inklings also represented a profound source of personal support for its members, including Lewis, offering a space where faith, philosophy, and life's challenges could be openly discussed. The group's impact extended beyond their immediate literary output, influencing broader discussions on Christianity, mythology, and the role of storytelling in human culture. The legacy of the Inklings, thus, lies not only in the remarkable works produced by its members, but also in the model of intellectual fellowship and creative collaboration they embodied. C.S. Lewis's marriage to Joy Davidman is a profoundly moving chapter in his life, one that has captured the imagination and hearts of many through its depiction in film adaptations like the BBC's and Hollywood's Shadowlands. Although the Hollywood version, featuring Anthony Hopkins as Lewis and Deborah Winger as Joy, takes creative liberties that introduce inaccuracies, Douglas Gresham, Joy's son and Lewis's stepson, has acknowledged the film's emotional truth, suggesting it captures the essence of Lewis and Joy's relationship. Joy Davidman, a writer in her own right, brought a profound change to Lewis's life. Their marriage began under the shadow of her battle with cancer, with little hope for a long future together. This context imbued their relationship with a poignant sense of urgency and depth. Remarkably, shortly after their marriage, Joy experienced a temporary remission of her cancer, granting them a brief but intense period of happiness and mutual fulfillment. For 2 years, they enjoyed a life enriched by love, intellectual companionship, and shared creativity, making the most of their unexpected time together. This interlude of joy was, however, short-lived. Joy's cancer eventually returned, leading to her death in 1960. The story of Lewis and Joy's marriage, particularly the way they faced her illness and cherished their time together, speaks volumes about Lewis's capacity for love, his deep emotional resilience, and the ways in which this profound personal experience influenced his subsequent writings and reflections on love, loss, and faith. Their relationship, with its deep emotional and spiritual connection, not only provided Lewis with personal happiness, but also enriched his understanding of suffering, love, and the human condition. This understanding would permeate his later works, offering his readers a deeper insight into the complexities of faith and the power of love to transform lives even in the face of death. C.S. Lewis's appearance on the front cover of Time magazine on September 8, 1947, marked a significant moment in his public recognition, particularly in the United States. The cover, with the heading, Oxford's C.S. Lewis. His heresy, Christianity, highlighted the seemingly paradoxical nature of Lewis's prominence, an Oxford academic who was also a fervent defender of Christianity. in a time when such a stance was considered countercultural or even heretical by some. In the secular intellectual community, this public acknowledgement was a testament to Lewis's growing influence as a Christian apologist and thinker. Lewis's foray into the realm of apologetics, particularly his philosophical defense of miracles, presented a stark contrast to the prevailing intellectual trends of his time, which often leaned toward skepticism regarding religious claims. His ability to articulate a robust defense of Christian doctrine and miracles in a logical and accessible manner contributed significantly to his rising stature as a leading voice in Christian thought. His impact was further amplified during World War II through his series of radio broadcasts on the BBC, which were later compiled into the book Mere Christianity. These broadcasts offered a systematic explanation of and argument for the Christian faith, reaching a vast audience during a period of global crisis and uncertainty. Lewis's clear, compelling manner of speaking and writing, combined with his intellectual credentials, made his presentations on Christianity persuasive to many listeners, earning him a place as one of the most recognizable and respected voices in Britain, second only to Winston Churchill during the war years. The juxtaposition of Lewis's academic position at Oxford with his public defense of Christianity underscores the unique and influential role he played in mid-20th century religious and intellectual discourse. His work not only bridged the gap between scholarly and popular audiences, but also provided a sophisticated yet understandable argument for faith in an increasingly skeptical world. The enduring appeal of C.S. Lewis's writings lies in his masterful synthesis of reason and imagination, a blend that invites readers to explore the depths of Christian faith with both the mind and the heart. Lewis's assertion that Christianity, if false, is of no importance, and if true, of infinite importance, encapsulates the crux of his apologetic approach. He challenges readers to consider the weight of Christianity's claims, positing that such claims demand a response of either total acceptance or outright rejection, with no middle ground for indifference. Lewis's analogy of believing in Christianity as one believes in the sunrise is particularly illuminating. He suggests that faith in Christianity, much like the belief in the sunrise, is not based solely on direct observation, but also on the way it illuminates and makes sense of the world around us. This perspective underscores the comprehensive explanatory power of Christian doctrine, which, according to Lewis, offers a coherent framework for understanding reality, morality, and human experience. Throughout his body of work, Lewis navigates the realms of reason and imagination with equal prowess. His philosophical and apologetic writings engage the intellect, presenting logical arguments for the truth of Christianity, while his fictional works, such as The Chronicles of Narnia and the Space Trilogy, enchant the imagination, embedding theological themes within captivating narratives. Lewis's ability to speak to both the intellect and the imagination is a testament to his conviction that faith and reason are not antagonistic, but complementary. His writings invite readers to a holistic engagement with Christianity, encouraging them to see it not merely as a set of doctrinal statements, but as a truth that shapes one's entire understanding of the world. This approach has made Lewis's works not only accessible, but deeply resonant with a wide audience, ensuring their relevance and impact long after their publication.